Everyone. Thank you for joining our Q&A hour. We will get started today. I just want everyone to be aware that you are on mute and you are muted by me, the organizer. So we will kind of walk through some common things that we think you may need to know about the SAP system. And then once we've got through all of that, we will open it up for questions. You should see on your GoToWebinar panel a questions section of that panel. You can type your questions in there as we're going along. Feel free to queue up your questions. And once we get through our information that we're presenting to you, I will switch over to the question queue and we will start going through the questions one by one, okay? So let's go ahead and get started. Again, we've got an hour today of Q&A, but we will start off with an introduction. My name is Nicole Land. I have been working in SAP for about 17 years now, so I would definitely consider myself a functional expert. I've implemented SAP, I've supported SAP, I've designed training programs on SAP. So I do think you're in good hands with me today, but we also have Claire, who is the training manager at MMC. And we also have Sarah on the call today. She is our technical expert who will be readily available today in case some of the questions are more technical in nature. So Claire, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself?
Hi all, thank you for joining. So as Nicole said, I'm the training manager, so I work with all of our instructors and then I'm sort of just overall help. So afterward, I will email out a recording of this as well, so look for that email from me. And then any and all questions, please let me know. If I don't know it, I will ask Nicole or Sarah and we'll get your question answered.
Awesome, thank you. Sarah, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Sarah. I'm the Customer Success Manager. If you've ever hopped onto chat or sent an email, then we have probably spoken before.
So we have a good range of coverage today. Most of what we're going to present right here off the bat will be a little functional in nature. We're going to start with how do you set your desktop GUI configuration. For those of you that are using a desktop GUI, you've signed up for access to an MMC environment. You can change your desktop GUI configuration, the look and feel of your desktop, by scrolling through your Start menu. You will locate the folder for SAP Front End. From there, you will look for the option that says SAP GUI Configuration. And within that pop-up, within the visual design and the theme settings, you can choose the theme in which you want your SAP screens to look. Again, it's just a look and feel. This does not control functionality in any way. It's just a matter of your personal preference. How do you want your GUI displayed to you? If you're using the web GUI, you're not going to have this option. The web GUI kind of just is what it is. You don't have the opportunity to change the look and feel. So this is only for those of you who may be using the desktop GUI. And again, all of this information will be provided to you after the class today, along with a recording of our meeting today, in case you forget any of this. For those of you who may have trouble logging into the system, we wanted to make sure we talked about that today as well. You should have, for those of you, again, using the desktop GUI, you should have a logon pad on your desktop, which you can launch, and then you will have whichever connection you have subscribed to, whichever system you've purchased access to will be displayed in your logon pad. From there, it's just a matter of double clicking it or single clicking and selecting the logon. From there, it will launch the logon screen, at which point you'll need to specify the client that you've been given access to, your user ID, and your password. All of that information will have been provided to you by someone on the MMC team once you have signed up for your SAP Access subscription. We also want to point out that you can set some favorites. So if you're very new to SAP and you're just trying to learn some basic navigation or some commonly used transactions, and you want to keep those handy, keep them at your fingertips, we recommend you set those in your favorites folder. And you can do that by right-clicking on your favorites folder and choosing the insert transaction, at which point you can type in the transaction code and save it to your favorites. Or you can also use the drag and drop. So if you're navigating through the very large SAP menu and you find something you want to keep handy, keep it at your fingertips, you can literally drag and drop it up to your favorites. Again, the drag and drop is a feature of the desktop GUI that's not going to be available in the web GUI. There are also some user settings that you will each be able to maintain once you've logged in, and these are specific to your user ID and the client that you are in. You can control things like your date format. If you're in the US, you may want your date in the month, day, day. If you're in Europe, you may want it in the European format. You have that option through your user settings. You can get there by using the More menu, followed by the System menu, and then the User Data option. And that's where you'll find these settings. The time and date, the decimal format. If you're in Europe, you use commas, where Americas uses decimal. You can change that decimal notation all within your user settings so that the system represents your format in whatever region of the world you may be in. The SAP menu, if you do navigate through there, you will find tons of transactions available. This is basically where all the common modules of either the ECC or the S/4HANA system, whichever system you have access to, the modules will be under that logistics folder, and you can just navigate through those by clicking into each folder and clicking down into that folder structure and exploring all the subfolders within these common modules. So that is something I definitely encourage you to do. And again, if you find something that you think is going to be useful that you want to keep at your fingertips, drag and drop it up to your favorites menu. If you want to start playing around in the system, you will need to find some materials. If you don't know how to create a material master, then you can certainly find them and then copy them. MM60 is a quick, easy query for you to use. It's transaction code MM60 that will allow you to query the database for existing materials in the system so that you can, play around and play around with some transactions. If you want to explore the system and look for sales orders in the system, maybe you're exploring something on the SD side, the sales and distribution side, you can use the transaction code VA05 to find existing sales orders in the system. And again, we have many users in the system, much like yourself. They've purchased Access, so you may find a wide range of data. Some of it may be good, some of it may be not so good. So just explore the reporting tools that we are presenting to you and find something that you think may be useful for whatever exercises you're trying to play around with. If you're a finance user or want to explore the finance side, you can always look for GL accounts in the system. If you need a GL account for a transaction you're trying to test out or something, you can use FBL3N to query the system to find any of the existing GL accounts that have been configured over the years within that system. You will undoubtedly come across error messages, and if you're new to SAP, they may be cryptic, they may be confusing, and they may be frustrating, but that is part of the learning process. Everyone who's been in SAP long enough knows that you're going to run into an error, some of which may make sense, some of which may not. If you come across an error while playing around in the system, I can tell you that the MMC website has a ton of free resources that help you decode an error message. There is also Google. There are SAP forums. There is a ton of information out on the web, but likely the MMC website is going to have exactly what you need to decode that error message. But if not, I encourage you to rely on Google, and some of the SAP forums are fantastic as well. You'll have tons of consultants and SAP super users and SAP functional users out on those forums that are just ready and willing to help. Okay, so now that was a very quick introduction. This is a Q&A, so I am going to open it up for some questions. The first one is Ratish. It says, will we be able to get a recording? Yes. This session right now is being recorded, so we will publish out that recording to all that attended today. And there are monthly Q&A sessions scheduled. So if you don't get a question answered this today in today's session, or if you have a new question come up after today, we will have a monthly Q&A session, and those dates are published on the MMC website.
And then I believe we have last month's Q&A session already up on our YouTube channel as well, Nicole.
Very good. Excellent. Thank you. And we should send out a link to that. Okay, so we don't have very many questions on there. If you do have a question, feel free to raise your hand in the webinar. Otherwise, I will move on to, okay, so not yet subscribed. We have Jan asking, not yet subscribed. Is GUI scripting available in your systems? Sarah, that's going to be more of a technical question. I will hand that one over to you.
I might have to parking lot that because I'm not sure. I'm not necessarily a functional expert, so I'm not 100% sure I can answer that. I know we do have multiple GUI options, but that doesn't sound like what she's asking, but I will get an answer for that before the end of the session.
Jan, I'm going to actually unmute you, and let's see if we can get a little clarification on your question. So bear with me while I find you in the list. There you go. Okay, Jan, you should be unmuted. Nope, sorry, that was Jacqueline. Let me get to Jan. There she is. Okay, Jan?
Yeah, hello.
Hi.
Greetings from Germany. So I'm Jan. But
Oh,
that's
I'm
fine.
sorry, Jan. My bad.
No problem. So I'm looking for the SAP GUI scripting. This is in the RZ11 transaction. And yeah, the background is we're also an authoring system developer. And we're looking for a new system access for testing.
Mm-hmm.
We are currently trying to recognize objects via the scripting AP. And this, if this, let's say, scripting isn't available on the servers, this, let's say, disqualifies them if we want to subscribe, because we're currently 100% relying on the scripting settings for this SAP GUI and the NetWeaver Business Client. So this would just be interesting for me. And I thought this might be the correct session because it's questions and answers.
Yes. Yeah, Jan. Okay, so I definitely have an answer for you already. Thank you for clarifying. Our systems do have scripting turned on. So
Okay.
that would work for you. And this also just, I want to make a quick point for everybody while we're talking about it. I think we all know SAP is really expansive. So sometimes I don't have a firm answer for you on a specific question like that. For that one, we do. So don't worry about that. But we do have what's called our customer guarantee. So when you have something really specific that you need to do and you're concerned, what if it doesn't work? We give you 10 full days to kind of figure it out. Log in, set up your connection, work with our dedicated help desk team who is, it's not like an outsourced team where they're kind of hard to communicate with, right? It's all people here in the United States, people who actually have access directly to the servers, even some of them physically. So a very sophisticated help desk team. 10 days basically to figure it out and say, hey, does this work for me? If at any point during those 10 days you realize it's just not going to work, just chat me, email me, call me, whatever. I'll refund you. We're not going to have a big long conversation about it. I'm not going to make it hard like some companies do, right, for you to get your refund. I'm just going to say, hey, thank you for your time for trying us out. Here's your refund. Here's an email confirmation. It's as simple as that. So that is one thing that I want you guys to all keep in mind when you have specifics like that. Thanks.
Yes, 10-day free trial, basically. So no commitment, no hassle. Jan, did that answer your question? Perfect. Okay.
Absolutely. Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, if anyone else has any questions, again, go ahead and put them in the questions panel, and I will queue them up. In the meantime, if you don't, I don't want to sit here in silence, so I'm going to let you know that I have some exercises. If you are stuck, you have access to the system, and you really don't know where to even start, I have beginner exercises, intermediate exercises, and advanced exercises. One for the MM module, which in this case here, a very easy exercise would be use MM60 to find yourself a material. From there, if you feel adventurous, go into that material master using MMO3 and figure out what org structure that material belongs to, what plant, what sales org, maybe even MRP areas or storage locations of the sort. That would be a middle of the ground exercise you could do. And then if you're feeling even more adventurous, try creating your own material through MM01. And you can do that by copying a material that you find through MM60. So again, that's just a very easy introduction to the system for you. And we do have another question, so let me go back to that. That is from Michael. Do you offer ABAP development tools, ADT and Eclipse? And is the web client UI for S/4HANA service available? Sarah, I'm going to let you take the ABAP development tools. I believe the answer is yes, but I don't want to speak for you, so I'll let you come back on and take that question.
Yeah, the answer is yes. So you just want to make sure that you purchase an ABAP subscription when you set it up, because there are different types of subscriptions, and ABAP is a little more expensive simply just because the license from SAP for us to lease it to you is more expensive, but that is an option as well. And then, and Nicole knows this as well, yes, you have access to a web GUI for S4HANA 1909 and all the S4HANA systems, as well as I believe all the ECC systems. We pretty much have a web GUI for everything, because it's understood that some of you guys will be using corporate computers and you might not have the ability or the security authorization to install programs. So we just want to offer some options for flexibility, and you're able to switch back and forth between the local GUI and the web GUI. You just cannot use both at the same time.
Correct. And I will say that if you're using the web GUI, there are some limitations to the web GUI, but if you're just using it to explore and test out a system, it will be perfectly fine. It's got all the same functionality. There just are a few limitations. For example, you can't have multiple sessions open. So you can only have the one window open, whereas in the desktop version, you can have up to 6 sessions open at a time. So Michael, if we did not answer your question, go ahead and raise your hand. If we did, awesome. I will move on. We have one from Prasanna. I hope I'm saying that right. Is there a free test access for one individual? So yes, again, Sarah, correct me if I'm wrong, but you can sign up for an individual access to the system, and same rules apply. You get basically 10 free days to make sure it's, you know, exactly what you want before you're committed to the subscription. Sarah, is that correct?
I just want to be clear. So it's not necessarily a trial. It's a money back guarantee for the first
Okay.
10 days. So you do have to make the purchase up front, but then you have 10 days to get a refund if it does not suit your needs.
Fair enough. Yes, trial is probably the wrong word. So you'll have a money back guarantee. We'll say it that way. And you have 10 days to test it out, test drive it, kick the tires, and request a refund.
And that just makes sure you have lots and lots of time to really get in there and make sure it suits your needs.
Exactly. All right, looks like Prasanna, we did answer your question. Awesome. And then we have another one from Michael. Web client does not equal web GUI. Web client is the GUI of the CRM system. So Michael, I'm going to unmute you because I think we may be bordering like Fiore questions here. So I'm going to unmute you and let's just make sure we understand your question. Michael, can you go ahead and say hi?
Hello, this is Michael.
Hi.
Hi.
All right. So
Yes.
go ahead.
In the newest release 1909 that you also offer, they have actually included the large parts of the former CRM system, but that is still using the web client UI, which requires that a lot of services must be activated. So I was wondering if you actually offer that.
Sarah, I'm going to let that one go to you. This seems like your wheelhouse.
Yeah, can you actually just repeat the last part? I had a little trouble understanding. I think I might have had some static on my end. I apologize.
Okay. Yes, let's say the new S/4HANA service, which which SAP merged from the CRM system, is using the client of the CRM system, the web client UI, and that requires that a lot of services are activated for this. So, are you supporting this?
I believe so, but I will double check with my basis team just to make sure. So I will come back to you on that just because I want a more, firm answer on that for you. Okay.
Okay, great, thanks.
You're welcome.
Okay, so the queue is empty at this point. Michael, if we don't come back by the time this call is over, we will be reaching out. We'll follow up with you via email to make sure we get your question answered. And again, if anyone else on the call has a question, just pop it in that questions panel and we will get them answered. If not, I'm going to move on to a second exercise. If you're ready and willing to start exploring the SD module. Sorry, let's see, Prasad has another question. Are there any test projects available? I'm not sure what you mean by projects, but we do have tons of data available in the system. And I'm going to go ahead and unmute you, Prasanna. Go ahead and say hi and just make sure I understand what you mean by projects.
Hi, Nicole. I was just trying to ask, like, do you have any already pre-configured a test project, like where it has all the data, like any case test project case, or which is having a complete flow process of any module?
I won't say that MMC has set up what you might refer to as a test case, so you can step through it step by step, but there is tons of data that have been created by individual users such as yourself. So that's kind of where these jumping off exercises that I've put in place in this little Q&A will help you find data along the way that you need. So if you, for example, are trying to replicate creating and shipping a sales order, you can find an existing sales order by using the VA05 transaction. You can look at the customers on that, and you can either use those same customers to create your own order, or you can use the data in that existing order to replicate and try the creation of that master data on your own. So I think the answer to your question is a yes and no. Yes, there is a ton of data out there that is ready and available to be used in any scenario, any testing that you want to do. No, it wasn't set up with the explicit understanding that it would be constantly clean forever and never touched by another user and used solely for the purpose of a test case. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, that is how, I mean, generally we practice. So one more question, like how do we, like in the S4 HANA latest series, like do you have any access for the rapid website where we get the complete flow of a process, flow charts, and accelerated flow?
Sarah or Claire, I do not believe MMC is offering functional, well, maybe on the functional resources. So maybe I should let Sarah or Claire answer that question. Does the MMC website have any documentation around the ASAP methodology or the rapid methodology of implementing and the overall like P2P order to cash scenarios? Is there anything like that on the MMC website?
Off the top of my head, I believe there are some training courses about it, at least about order to cash.
Yes, we do have some resources coming up here in a few slides that I think might point you in the right direction if they exist on the website. Because MMC is kind of a crowdsourcing site, for lack of a better word, much of the content, much of the training is done by individual instructors such as myself. So you will find training courses, and there is a ton of free resources on the micromanagement website, but I can't speak 100% certain if there's like flowcharts or ASAP methodology, like step-by-step implementation guides. I think the best bet for that type of information is going to be the SAP forums.
Okay.
Yeah. And what we'll do when we send you guys all the link to the Fireside chat this afternoon is I will go ahead and put that link to our infographic page, which has all of our free resources. We do have cheat sheets for some modules. We have some ebooks. We have a download of all SAP tables, all the new S/4HANA transaction codes. So there are lots and lots of resources, and we will definitely connect you guys with those today.
Okay, Leon. Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, so again, let's come back to, until we have another question, the exercise homeworks. We have the beginner exercises, in this case, finding an existing sales order. You can do that through VA05. If you want to take it up a notch, you can then explore that sales order through VA03, and you can display the customer partners that are on that order. You can display the material that is on that order. And then you could even go an extra step and replicate that sales order, create your own sales order using VA01. And again, the micromanagement website is all about training. So if you are interested in doing something or learning something more in detail, that is what the micromanagement website is there to do. You can search that website for on-demand training videos, or even join one of our live Jumpstart classes that cover the modules end to end, which we'll be talking about here shortly as well. If you are interested in a finance exercise, again, the FBL3N, you can go search for all the GL accounts that have been set up in the system. And if you want to kick it up a notch, you can then display that GL account using FSP0. And then from there, if you want to try creating your own GL account, you can do that as well through FSP0. But having that one that's already there as a guide will be a good way to make sure you're setting it up correctly. All right, so here are the free resources. And again, everyone will get access to these links. These are all on the micromanagement website. There are ebooks, cheat sheets, and infographics. There are blogs about how to get started with your SAP Access subscription. You log in and you see this easy access screen. Where do you go? It's hard for me to tell you where to go, because that's really, why did you access SAP in the first place? What is it you're trying to learn? What is it you're trying to test? The answers to those questions are really going to decide where you go once you actually log in. And again, the error message tool, I mentioned this earlier. If you are in SAP and you come across an error that you don't understand, there is a complete comprehensive error message tool on the micromanagement website that you can use to decode, decrypt the error messages from SAP. Those are free resources, so those are totally free. There are some not so free resources as well. We have simulation courses available to you for a price. We have, again, the live Jumpstart courses. We have a materials management module live Jumpstart course, and we are soon being in the next couple of weeks, launching the sales and distribution Jumpstart courses. These are live courses with me. I'm the instructor for those. So you will join us virtually, and we will have tons of hands-on exercises. The courses are very interactive. It is not a PowerPoint where I just throw a bunch of information on a screen at you. This is, you log in and we work through exercises together. We also have one-on-one SAP Access sessions that you can sign up for if you need someone like Sarah to get the desktop client loaded onto your computer, or any questions around what you can do. Sarah, why don't you go ahead and summarize what that one-on-one access session is?
Yeah, and the one-on-one access session is pretty flexible. Certain people want to talk over the phone, but what I typically prefer to do for you guys is just have you guys hop on chat and I can just remote into your computer and set it up for you if you're having trouble. To me, that's a lot faster and quicker than sitting and going back and forth and troubleshooting over the phone and over chat. So we'll typically when you purchase it, it comes to me. I'll email you or call you and set up an appointment, and then again, typically we'll just hop on chat because it's very easy to do it and for me to remote in. If you're having problems just installing it and not the connection so much, I will try my best to support you, but we're not desktop support. So honestly, I would advise you to try and save your money on that and do as best you can to get it installed. But if for some reason you can't install, I will try just because I really like to make people happy, right? And I want you all to be able to use our service. And then again, if for some reason it just doesn't work, you still have the web GUI option, and I can always, refund you if it's an installation issue. Maybe, like I talked about earlier, you just don't have security access to install programs, and you didn't quite realize that until after you paid the $39. That's okay. I will, refund you because I don't want you to pay for anything if it's of no use for you. We want you guys to be happy customers, not just people who spend money and we don't care.
Very good. Okay, so one more question. Do we get any exercises after completing a course? I think I'm going to unmute you again because I'm not sure what you mean by that. So Prasanna, come on back and ask me that question one more time.
So, Nicole, I have the courses what we find in the micromanagement website. So whenever we finish any of the course, so does it have has exercise questions and the solutions? Like generally, what SAP training does that?
Right, so it's going to depend on the course. If you join one of the live Jumpstart courses, yes, we will send you the student handbook, and everything that we do live in class, all of those exercises will be available to you in that student handbook, so you can continue to do those exercises on your own. If you take an on-demand course, it's going to depend on the instructor. There are some courses that will offer some follow-up homework exercises. Once you're done watching the video, you can then try the hands-on exercises yourself, but that is up to each individual instructor.
Okay.
Yeah, and I'll add one more thing as well. Almost all of our on-demand courses, and now all courses going forward, are required to have quizzes. So it's very common to have exercises, but in addition to that, there's also quizzes after the lessons that you take that will reinforce that knowledge that you just learned.
And we also just revamped the skill assessments on our websites. So you do have skill assessments to test yourselves. Those are free and you can take it as many times as you like. So you can really see how you have improved as you're learning.
Okay. So one more question regarding the whatever the once we done the course on the micromanagement. So the certification what you provide for each course, for each single course. So does it, I mean, I checked it, it's valid internationally, or do we still have to write SAP test as a mandatory one?
I mean, it's just going to depend, what job you're applying for, what you're doing. Some places may require the official SAP certification, but generally our certificates are highly regarded. You have to actually make an 80% or higher on a test to complete a course, and that's one of the many reasons why our certificates have so much weight. We have tons of clients all over the world. I would say, we're a US based company, but I would say probably only half of my clients are in the United States. And we have clients that train with us like Sony, Microsoft, worldwide clients that use us for SAP training. So I would be really, really surprised if someone didn't look at your certificate and take it seriously. You can also just directly add it to your LinkedIn profile from our website, and LinkedIn is a client of ours as well.
I know, yeah. Okay.
Yes, but it will not, this is not going to be a substitute for an official SAP certification.
Okay.
Yeah, okay, good question.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, so that is the end of our slide presentation. Again, if you have any questions, pop them in. If not, then we can certainly give you all some time back today. And I do thank you all for your time. Again, we have a monthly Q&A session. We can never predict what questions we're going to get. So we definitely try to fill the time with some information. But if you have a question that was not answered today, such as Michael, your web client not being web GUI, we will be following up with you on that one. But if you have more questions between now and next month's session, feel free to join us next month as well. And if it can't wait, feel free to jump on the chat feature within the Michael Management website. Okay. One more. Okay. Do you provide classic SAP logon and NW? I assume that's NetWeaver. Yes, there is the classic logon and the NetWeaver clients for HANA. Sarah, I'm going to let you answer whether or not it's available for the S4HANA 1909.
Sorry, are we talking about? I'm just
For
trying to understand the question.
For S4HANA, we have the classic SAP logon, the desktop logon GUI. Do we also have the NetWeaver business client option?
Sorry, it's not as popular of a system, so I'm not sure off the top of my head. I know we do offer NetWeaver as an option, but I'm not sure the GUI looks any different. It all goes through the same GUI.
Okay. Jan, did we answer your question? If not, we will park and lot it and try to follow up with you. You are self-muted, so if you want to unmute yourself, Jan, hop on and let me. It's okay. Perfect. He's responded. Okay. Okay, so again, going once, going twice. Any other questions? If not, then awesome. It was a pleasure talking with you guys today. One more. Do you have Ariba? Sarah, do we have Ariba?
No, we do not have Ariba. Sorry.
So our first no. Sorry about that, Prasanna. Any others? Okay, I'll do it one more time. Going once or going twice? All right. Well, we will call it. That's a wrap for today, guys. I enjoyed it. Thank you so much, and I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day.